Welcome to episode number 45 of the Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie Show, sponsored by the Beacon Tap. How are we doing, Cousin Donnie?
Doing all right, man. Little sick today. We were outside all day in the cold and wind, but we're a little under the weather. But we're making it happen on a Sunday night for you guys. We had to transition from our usual Tuesdays because now Jimmy and I are going to start playing a lot during the week and playing in the leagues and now we're going to do it on Sunday nights, and we hope you guys appreciate that and can still kind of hang out and watch with us. But Jimmy, how are you feeling today?
Doing well. I had a fun full day with the kids out in the yard and playing baseball and all sorts of stuff. So yesterday, those crazy conditions, I know. It was insane out there, those 30 mile an hour winds, and just, it was nuts. I mean, it almost felt like playing softball for the first time in my life, and just you weren't able to do certain things. It was incredible. It was just absolutely incredible.
I struggled in the first game we played. The wind was completely different, like in 2 innings. I mean, it was blowing in different directions. I know our guest a little bit later, Mike, pitched the game after us, and I'm sure he'll tell you the same thing. That wind was insane on that one diamond, and then we switched fields, and it was in a totally different direction. And then it was blowing straight into us or straight out. It was wild. It was a good tournament, though. There were some really good teams. I've got some good notes about the tournament that I want to share with you guys, stuff that I picked up on during the weekend. But I'll let you kind of introduce everybody while they jump on.
Yeah, no, for sure. Before I get to the people watching, and obviously we appreciate the support. I know a lot of people at the field were thanking and just saying hi. Love the show. Ton of things about softball, keeping it real. But, just on the whole softball, and I'm actually back in my routine out here on my patio. So I don't know if you remember way back in the day when we first started the show, I used to sit on the patio last fall. Well, I'm back out on the patio. It was just too nice of a night not to be outside. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about this weekend really is just the amount of, I felt like the excitement of just being out there. There was a lot of people hanging out. I thought, teams were hanging out. There was, even though the conditions were brutal, and to your point, I think I walked 4 guys or something like that with those conditions in the first game. And then the second game, we played shooters. The wind was blowing kind of at my back. Didn't walk a single soul, but it was, it was, to your point, it was crazy, man. It was like you threw the ball and the ball would move 3 feet.
You had no idea. You had no idea where it was going. There was one inning. I'm sure somebody's going to chime in and get on me about it, but there was one inning against Flash. I was like, "What? I don't know what I'm doing. I can't figure out where is this ball going." And walked a couple guys, and I was super frustrated. But after that game, the guys, I was like, "Guys, not going to happen. Not going to happen again." And I don't know if I walked another guy, maybe one more guy for the next 4 games. So it was nice to kind of lock in and pitch a little bit better. Steve Burke says, Jimmy, I got walked 5 times out of 7 at-bats out there this weekend. I mean, it was happening all over the place. And if you didn't walk anybody, I got to give credit to Zoe on the Flash side. He pitched really nicely in our game after I think he walked a couple guys early, maybe 1 or 2 guys, but got ahead a lot. And it was really difficult for the pitchers out there. So, you'll see some lower scores and then some higher scores, but I'll tell you what, it was a good time to be out there. And like you said, it seemed to be a lot of excitement out there. And I don't know if it's what we're doing is getting people more energized to play. And, we could have some influence on that. People are watching our show every week during the off season. And it's like, all right, now it's time for us to get out and play, which is great.
Yeah, obviously Matty Dozen, he always puts together a really nice tournament in regards to just, you know, the fields. I thought after the amount of rain we had was in
Yeah,
good condition. Matty, obviously it matters to him. They went around taking pictures. They were doing all sorts of stuff, having uh, Maddie's, with Pat Caputo throwing out the first pitch. I thought that was an
great.
awesome tribute as well after what Patty's been through. There was just a lot of good things that went on this weekend. And then, of course, we always have the umpires, right? So, in our game, we were playing high Y. There was it was 4-1 in the fifth inning or whatever it was. Line drive was first and second. They had no outs. We were winning 4-1, and line drive to the second baseman, and he catches the ball. And I understand it's a hard thing, but it was one of those interference calls. Throws his hands up or moved out of the way, and the ball hit him in the back. And it just seems like to start this year, we've had just those game changing momentum plays, and then next thing you know, not the reason why we lost the game, not making excuses, but we didn't hit after the first inning either, so that doesn't help, right?
Yeah.
So, but either way, it just seems, I know Johnny Ryan posted that some things about some of the umps and things like that. I thought all in all for the first tournament of the year, I didn't really see too many bad calls here and there. Shit's gonna happen. They're human, as we all know. But a lot of people wanted me to talk about the umps tonight. I know Johnny Ryan's lighting up our chat right now about
Johnny and Pops and Chooch just chimed in.
Yeah.
But it was good to see Johnny Ryan out there with the shooters again. I know OBI last year and now kind of going back to the shooters, but just kind of if you're those guys, got to hang in there and make sure we're playing as many games as possible, right, Jim? I mean, they unfortunately, didn't go their way in the first game. Just kind of keep on trekking. You'll win some games. You'll get that momentum back. And Johnny says about the game, and he's talking about in general, right? It's just he's not happy with the officiating and refereeing. But I want to mention a couple notes that I have from this weekend that I kind of wrote down and noticed while we were. Go ahead.
And before you get there, Donnie, let me say hi to the fans. We've got about 50 people just jumped on. So I want to get out to Robert Garzano. Welcome to the show. Joe Anthony, welcome. Dave Padilla, Dominic Marquez, Enrique Jr., Tyrone Powell, Keith Jones, Marky Robinson. Big Mick has joined. David Butterfield, welcome. Pops, welcome. Steve Majerus says Meatball City, baby. Richard Michael, Garza Alejandro, our boy Drew Laddick from Iowa, Steve Burke, Bobby Ronald, Johnny Ryan, Mike Marola, obviously, who's our guest tonight, right? So Frank, Scott Ardecki, Dr. Joe Dex, Nicole Mary, welcome. Pops. And so we've had a ton of people. Hector's now, Rams, welcome to the show as well. So we had a ton of people join. As we always say, guys, we appreciate the support. Get on our Facebook page, click the 3 dots, invite your friends, select all. That helps only promote our game, promote our page, promote our game, and bring people more aware with this 16-inch softball game. So, that being said, I know we're going to talk a lot about this weekend with our guest tonight, Mike Marola. Mike obviously is a part of the Meatball City team. He was the pitcher. I believe after the first game, I think they had Drew Doss pitched that first game. John Doss.
Yeah.
He pitched the first game, and then I think Mikey pitched the rest, from my understanding. So we'll obviously hear some detailed information about him. And I know you had a lot of notes from this weekend, but why don't we hop over to the Cinco de Mayo tournament, and then we'll come back with your notes from the weekend, and then right into Mike. So I do have on the screen here, and I'm going to pull it up. I know for some of those that maybe can't see it, we got a bootleg copy from the draw tonight. This looks like Winslow's writing 100%. So, but either way, I know, Donnie, you got it in front of you, and for the people that are watching online, I just put it up on the page right now. But why don't you go ahead, Donnie, and just read what that draw kind of looks like?
Yep. Yep. Looks like this is a nice tournament. Kind of some A teams, some B teams. It's nice to kind of see that getting the year started. Playing at this level. And the first game looks like Playmakers, and then they've got Bankroll. If I'm not mistaken, Bankroll. 10 deep, a team that we played on Saturday. A nice team out of Washington Park. They're going to play 40 Deuce, and then you've got Born Divine and Primetime. Primetime's a lot of the Berwyn guys that we know from out here, Mike Cadella's boys. Born Divine's another Washington Park team, so it's nice to see those guys getting out of Washington Park and playing some of these tournament games. Diesels and the Reapers who we did the stream for that day.
Yes.
Dave Padilla's tournament. Your boy, what was his name? Second baseman.
G Tino.
Good memory. Yeah, and then you've got Menace and Bullies, and then there's a couple teams that did get buys. Fat Kids got a buy, Goodwood got a buy, and then Whale gets a buy down at the bottom there. So a nice tournament. I think it's pretty even. I think Fat Kids, the three teams that got buys, I mean, it's their tournament to win, in my opinion. That Whale team is nice. Goodwood picked up some really good players this offseason, a couple Division I baseball guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that team's going to be really nice. And then
you know what? Talking about Goodwood, and I don't mean to cut you off there, but I was getting some text messages about the line we put out on the Demons, because I believe the Demons kind of beat up on Goodwood over the weekend. I don't know if Goodwood was missing players. I don't know what the situation was. I know the conditions were brutal, but I got an earful about our line on the Demons last week. I had the Demons plus, I think, 1.5, just because they haven't been playing. And the Demons showed up to the park. They were motivated off of the Uncle Jimmy line and Cousin Donnie. So
hey, that motivates people to be better. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah. So it was definitely awesome thing to hear. I love when people talk shit, as you know. I love every aspect of that. It's incredible. So it was an awesome thing to hear, Donnie. I can't believe it.
I like that you're getting a little bit of hate, because you typically don't put up with that stuff. So I think in this tournament, if Fat Kids has everybody, obviously team to beat in with this group of teams, and then you've got, like I said, Goodwood will be nice. Whale's going to be good there at the bottom. Probably have to get through Menace or Bullies there. In Menace, if they've kind of kept everything together, they could get through the Bullies and then put up a good fight with Whale. Menace in the past has been a pretty good tournament team, over the last couple of years. So it's nice to see Menace kind of getting back in the swing of things. And I know maybe lost a guy or two in the offseason, but they'll be fine. They always compete in tournaments, and Brian's a great pitcher. So, it's nice. Dave Padilla, I got a quick question in the chat about Dave Padilla says, what was the call with flashback at home plate? So I don't know if you saw this. So we were playing Flash, okay, and this was the bad inning. This was the inning from hell, okay? And there was a play at the plate, and Anthony Stacey hit a ball up the middle, and then Chris Pakulis is our catcher. He's a muscular, big man. And I wouldn't want to run into him at home plate, because I think he would kill me. The play at the plate, Chris is sort of blocking the plate and kind of puts the tag on him. And then he applies the tag and is sort of rolling backwards and almost tries to present the ball to the umpire, and the ball falls out of his hand. That's kind of what I saw, or kind of went back and watched the replay on it. I really like that the SSA posted that clip, because it's kind of leaving it for open interpretation.
All right, let me stop you there. I have a thought on this, okay? So 3 weeks ago, or a month ago, the SSA had an umpire meeting, okay? What was the number one thing that came out of that meeting, Donnie?
What was it, Jim?
That players and people from the bench could not get in the umpire's face.
Yeah.
When you look at that video, I mean, obviously it happened in our game. I get it. I'm just using the video as an example because it was posted. They posted a play at home with the entire Flash team in the guy's face, okay, yelling until Jibs came out and was like, "Hey guys, go back to the bench," right? So my thing is why I love the fact that we post those type of things, but if we really want to cut out on the umpire, and we really want to
Yep.
make the umpires better, why are we posting those things to make people talk about it more and more and more? Right.
Right.
I know we talk about it because we like to joke around about it. All in all, I mean, Nick did a terrible game in our game. He had awful plays, but he's human. I told him at home plate, I says, listen, dude, you're human. I don't expect you to make every right call. I don't expect any of these guys to make every right call. But, they hear an earful, and I get that. And I even told him, like, we just have to understand that I can't talk to you right now because I'm going to blow up on you. And I gave it some couple innings, and then I was normal, but I just think that if we want what we've been preaching from the SSA about staying off the umpires, I don't know if it's a great idea to be posting controversial calls on their page for everyone to see it.
Sure. I like that they posted it for people to see and then talk about it, because that creates, some comments. It creates some interaction with the page. We had Brian Fanuc on our show, who's the head of the umpires, and said if anyone comes out of the dugout, they will be immediately thrown out of the game. Right. That was the big takeaway. And we were kind of asking how are we going to enforce that? How are you going to throw everybody out of the game? And that would be a situation where if you're trying to stick to that rule, and Chooch is the umpire, Chooch is in the chat right now. Chooch, how are we going to enforce that rule? Because 8 guys would have been thrown out right there. If we're abiding by that rule. It was a tough call, and you're not going to please everybody as an umpire, right? Someone's going to be mad at you based on every call you make.
We know that. Yeah, we 100% know that. So I know that we have our boy Mike Marola.
That's a good point from Drew Ledig right there, by the way.
Oh, yes. I know we have our boy Mike Marola waiting in the room. We're going to bring him up in a couple minutes. I know you got some things I want you to touch on. You got some notes, but I wanted to give you my opinion on that tournament, the 8 tournament. My dark horse in that tournament will be Whale to win that tournament. If they show up with a full squad, I'm going to pick Whale to win that tournament. That's my choice. Donnie, who do you got to win that tournament? I think you said Fat Kids.
I love that you picked Whale, showing a little respect to Jackson, Perry, and the boys. Jimmy, they might have the backing of both Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie this weekend. I'm with you. I said if Fat Kids has their full team, they're tough to beat, but I'm with you. I'm gonna go with Whale as well.
So Whale's absolutely fucked. There's no chance they're winning the tournament.
They might lose the first game.
Yeah, exactly. So very good. So before you get into the comments, and I know Mikey Marola is in our break. He's probably getting hammered right now in our break room. We have a ton of people commenting right now. I know Johnny Ryan's going back and forth at Pops. They're having a good old time. Chooch is on there running his mouth as usual, probably high as a kite. But either way, there is definitely some awesome energy going around 16 in softball. I cannot wait. And the more and more I hear about Nationals, Rosmondo, I'm hearing a ton of that. I don't know, Donnie, if you're getting it, but people are excited. They're thrilled. The energy's at an all-time high. So get into the notes, Donnie. Let's get Mr. Marola on. I want to hear him. I know you got a bunch of comments to read, too. We can get to those here in a couple minutes after we get Mr. Marola on, because there's a ton of comments coming in.
Steve Burke is not happy that we picked Whale. I know Steve Burke is a member of Goodwood, who is right there with Whale. They could win the tournament, just to give them some credit. Jimmy, why don't you bring on Mikey? Let's start talking about maybe a little bit of this weekend, and I'm sure he'll chime in too.
You want to get into your notes, or you want to just bring? All right.
I could talk about some of the things I wanted to chat about. The biggest note I had from this weekend: Sauce upsetting Flash after they beat us and beat them 12-10 with the wind blowing out to right field. I got to give some credit to Brian Sloan, and he's actually lost some guys this offseason. I know he lost his first baseman, lost one of his outfielders. He calls it a rebuilding year, but Brian really takes pride in that Sauce team and put together a nice team, and they did it. They played very good when Flash didn't play very good. So, they hit, some teams made some mistakes, but man, it was really nice to see Brian take some pride and win that Flash game. And then I think they played iron in the next game and kept it very close. So a nice showing from Sauce this weekend.
You know what I love about that game? It shows those A teams that they can play in the major tournaments and have a chance to win. Yes, they might not win, they might only win 1 out of 10 against a major team. But that one game saw us knock basically Flash out of the tournament.
Yep.
And this goes to my point of more single elimination tournaments, more one-day tournaments, more different. I mean, if you would have went into this weekend and said Meatball City and Iron would have been in the final, I would have told you you're higher in drugs, right? So
higher than Chooch.
Yeah, higher than Chooch. Okay. And that's no discredit to those guys, but that how awesome is that, right?
Yeah.
Any given day that those major teams, those A teams can win a tournament. And congrats to Meatball City, my guy Mikey Marola. You know what, Donnie? Let's go get him from the break room. I don't want him to get any more drunk than he is now. And I know you got a ton of notes. We can get to those notes talking about the tournament. So let's get him on now.
Chooch said that what he's doing is legal, boys. He's standing by the fact that, he might be under the influence of marijuana or drugs, but it is legal, so good for him. Hi, Mike. Good to see you.
Hi. Water tonight, Jim. No Coors Light. Water.
Yes. So,
we had enough yesterday and last night.
Absolutely. So for everyone in our audience, guys, obviously, thank you for tuning in to the Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie Show, sponsored by the Beacon Tap. Our guest tonight is Mr. Mike Marola from the Meatball City team, who just won the first major tournament of the year yesterday, with the majority of the major teams in it. So congratulations to you, Mike. I know you guys had some awesome games. We're going to touch on that. Donnie's got some incredible notes too. So I know Donnie's been talking about his notes for the last 10 minutes, Mike. So
I'm prideful. So you always say I don't do anything to support the show, but I actually made some notes this week, and you're making fun of me for it. So
Mike, before we
thank you guys for having me on. Let me first say thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. You guys have been doing a great job with this. It's really great for the game. I'd be remiss if the next thing I didn't say was hi, Grandma Alice, because she's either watching now or going to be watching tomorrow, and that's going to make her day to hear that. But thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. I wish you would have brought me on 5 minutes ago with all this umpire talk, because I've been writing down stuff to try and not to backtrack, but I want to get back to some things because I think there's some good stuff there. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So before, Mike, we ask you your first question, all I was going to say is let's just hear Donnie's notes. And then
they're not okay, fine. No problem. Well, the first note I had was a huge shout to Sauce. Amazing game for them. Played a nice tournament. How about Iron taking a second place in this tournament with all their young kids? Their starting outfield is away in college, picking up some dudes, and with kind of a newer team out there with CJ and Joe and Chapo. Not a lot of their core starters. Billy Quirk out there for them, and Lane for sure, but it was nice to see how well they played on Saturday and kind of, coming out of the weaker side of the bracket, but they had to win the games, and they did. So it was nice to see Iron.
Isn't it amazing? They get rid of your ass and they go right to the final.
Meatball City first, and they won, and now Iron, and they took second.
Second.
So, Signature, we did win the consolation side, though. I just wanted to that out.
Oh, there you go.
And jokes aside, it's great to see a program like Iron that's been around. Danny Atkins has been running Iron for who knows how long, to have a really good weekend and kick the season off on a high note.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
So, you need teams like that, guys that have been around and have teams for a long time. It's what keeps softball alive.
Yep, I agree. And Danny's a fantastic human being. He does a nice job with his team, and he kind of did Matty Dozen a favor, I think, and jumped in this tournament without his guys there, and still got a team out there. But it worked out. Took a nice second place. So Danny, we appreciate that. The only other note I had, Jimmy, was that the March team, they're kind of new and improved roster. Their team's going to be very nice. They have a really nice lineup, picking up some new guys. We played them later in the day, but their team is fantastic. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Well, I'm going to say they lost to the Pharaohs team, which is, we've been hearing more and more about this Pharaohs up and coming team. I think they're going to be a team this year. I'm excited. I think there's a lot more teams, Meatball City, Pharaohs, Iron, like a lot more teams jumping into the mix, which is incredible to see for softball as we continue to grow the game. So enough about that. Let's get into Mr. Mike Marola. All right. So Mike Marola, I know we've been teammates. We've been buds for a while. We're Yuma buds.
Yep.
We've done a lot together. But for those people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into softball.
Sure. So I grew up in the Lombard Villa Park area. And for those who don't know, my uncle Pat Caputo has been playing softball probably since 1886 when it started back at the yacht club. So I kind of grew up around the game between him playing, my cousin Joe, Patty missing family parties because he was at tournaments. It was just kind of born into us that in the summer you're playing ball. So when I was in high school at Lombard East here in Lombard, I started playing with him in the fall in Villa Park. And I would say I was really lucky. I really didn't know what I walked into when I got into Villa Park because there was guys, Stevie King and Billy King were running the team 7-14. So I was lucky enough to walk out there with guys like Anthony Villa, Jeff Berger, Joe Dooley, Mark Holstein. I swear I remember nights where Filkins and Rick Gankars were out. And I'm 17, 18 years old walking out there just kind of figuring out what's going on. And I had these guys that were future legends of the game out there just kind of, oh, hey, what's up, kid, and hanging out with me. So I got my start with some really, really great players. At that time in 2004, Uncle Pat was playing with Traffic with Nicky Gatta and that gang, which we'll get into. And I was fortunate enough to jump in with them. And my first year on Traffic, I maybe played 3 games. I would go in if we were up big, which wasn't necessarily all the time, or if we were down big, or if someone was tired and they just needed a break. Because again, I was 17, 18, kind of earning my stripes with these guys, which at that time, Traffic was like a mid-major type team. You know, things were different. You had to earn your way into major nationals and all that. But they were like a bubble team. So I had to earn my stripes with those guys. And my cousin Joe was out there for a little while, Joe Caputo. But I got to hang out with guys like Dean Pritt, Nicky Gatta, Billy Bledsoe, Cheek, Dan Carmody. So many names. I don't want to forget anybody, but all these great guys on Traffic. And I had a great 13 years. I played with Traffic. We got to win the A Nationals in 2009 out in Cedar Rapids. We took second to the 45s in Westchester in 2010, I think it was. I'll never forget, we beat them in the winners bracket, and this was, again, I'd been playing softball like 7 years, and we just beat the 45s, and then they came and they double dipped us pretty quickly after that. and that was the end of that. But like they did to a lot of teams at that time in the early 2000s. But I was with Traffic till about 2015, 16. 16 or 17 was when I went over to Hex, played with Hex for 6 years with Richie Battistoni and Jim. That's when we got to play together for a couple of years. And Tommy Balick, one of the big reasons I went over there. V and Jimmy DeFalco, a lot of great guys were on Hex. Zoe and Moji, Chris Stu Miller. I've been pretty lucky. I got to play with some pretty good guys throughout the years on these different teams. But I was with Hex for those years, and now I've been on Meatball City. This is my 2nd year with our new gang.
Well, I can tell you this, Mike. I know that I saw one of the worst slides ever in Yuma history to win a tournament by yourself. But the one thing that I love about you is the fire, the commitment, the level of intensity that you bring to the game. So I know you love to surround your people or yourself around those type of individuals. And I think from what I saw, the game that you guys played, Meatball City, there was a lot of intensity with some of those younger kids. I know the Wiz brothers, they're nice players. You know, Pops, say what you want. He's a gamer.
He is. Pops, real quick, didn't make an out until like his last at bat of our 3rd game. And then he only made like one more out after that the whole day.
He was
Pops was in fuego.
Yeah.
On fire.
So you plan on him not getting a hit the rest of the year?
Yes, probably. Yes, I just put the kibosh on him. Yes, for sure, totally.
But I know I want to talk a little bit about your outfield.
Yeah,
you guys lost Marty and then beat Marty this weekend, so that's an awesome thing to feel right because, Marty was a big piece of your team last year when he showed up, and I think that moving forward with some of the new kids stepping in and filling in his role. It's just awesome to get out of the gate knowing it's got to give your guys tremendous confidence right out of the gate, knowing that, hey, there's a good handful of the major teams in here and we just took the whole tournament down. So tell us how that feels.
That was a really cool experience. You kind of nailed it. This Meatball City group's a pretty cool group. So trying to kind of run through the guys, and I'm probably gonna miss some guys, but you got Pops and his brother Joel who runs the team, and Joel does a fantastic job. Joel's only been around softball 4 or 5 years, not very long. Pops has been a lifer like us. Joel just got into it not that long ago. You know, he's a barber, so he's got little, gentle, fragile hands. He's got to be careful.
Right.
But Joel does a great job. He's got our sponsors, his barbershop, Mago's Styling Cave. He's done a great job. He got the Berwyn, Illinois Municipal Police Association as one of our sponsors, and the Brotherhood for the Fallen. So he's got some great backing behind us. He gets us all this great garb that we got, some really cool uniforms. But we got a nice group of guys. The Wiz brothers you had mentioned. All I keep hearing from all these, again, I mentioned some of these old timers and these older guys that I know. All I hear about is, man, the Wiz brothers' dad was a great player, and these Wiz brothers, these Wiz boys, and now I'm getting to play with them in the last few years. They're pretty good boys. They're something to watch coming up. And then you got Joe Filomeno, our first baseman, who this kid lives in Rockford. He drove from Rockford with his 3-year-old son who was hanging in our dugout all day on Saturday. We were taking turns between innings babysitting him in the dugout. He drove from Rockford. He played some minor league ball. Unbelievable first baseman. Jose Godinez. We'll get to our outfield in a minute. My buddies Eric Coppersmith and Josh Lubin that I grew up with. Josh Robles, Joey Carbs. And then our pickups that you mentioned. So, yes, we had lost Marty this year, which is a big hit. Marty's was our probably heaviest bat on the team. He can match the ball. But he works a police job. And when he has to miss for work, he has to miss. And you can't hold that against anybody. Work is work. But that's a big hit when he's out. So when Marty made the decision to go back to Moneyline, of course, we were very upset. We did not want to lose him. We all like him. We have great relationships with him. But he made a decision he thought was best, so we did that. But we were fortunate enough, we picked up 2 guys to replace the one. And we picked up 2 guys that really don't miss at all. So, again, work is work, but when the guy's out quite a bit and it hurts, and you replace them with 2 guys who show up, and maybe they can't hit it as hard or as far, but they're there all the time and they play just as hard, we put ourselves in a good spot. So we have this weekend, we had Jake Caballero, Cabs out in left field. I love watching Jake out in left field. When he played center last year, Marty was in left. He really reminded me of watching him, of myself out there in center. Just the way he was reading the ball and going around, I really liked that. So Cabs in left, and our new pickup, Ian Holst, is in center field. Ian played with, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name.
Future.
That's it. He's good buddies with Pat Moran and Luke Gimler and those boys. A lot of the guys, the younger guys that I play with in the parks. So Ian came with us, and Sean Quinn from Splash. And I know he's kind of bounced around a little bit, but Sean knows all the Meatball guys from playing around the parks. So we picked up these 2 young guys that, again, show up all the time. They play hard, and they have the great attitude that we're looking for. We're all human. We're going to make mistakes, but that effort on the next play. What are you going to do when that next ball is hit to you and they show that attitude that we like? And it really came out this weekend. It really helped us. And Jake Majerov played right field for us this weekend. Sean came off the bench hitting and catching.
Well, I mean, I once again, I think it's just an awesome thing, right? I mean, it's an awesome thing that a new team won a tournament. You guys, in my eyes, you're taking that next step, right? I mean, you guys are going to be a predominant top 10 team all year. Obviously, winning this tournament's got to put you in the top 10 for the year, basically on paper. So, Mike, what is your outcome? I know the first tournament of the year is over, but for the rest of the year, what would you like to see out of the Meatball City group, right?
There's
going to be some growing pains, but
definitely. There's a couple parts of that. First, I'd be remiss if I didn't say John Doss and Jack Harrigan were our other 2 pickups in the offseason. Doss played second base, great, all weekend on Saturday, and Jack was out of town. He had something going on, so he wasn't there. But Jack Harrigan was our other pickup to help lock us down in the infield. So going off of that, we have 5 new guys that we picked up to add to a kind of already new team to begin with, because last year adding myself, Pops, Eric, Josh, Jose. That's kind of a whole new squad coming together. So we definitely suffered some growing pains last year. We had some really exciting games. The game we played against Chuck's in the Midsummer Classic, that was a heartbreaker to lose.
Yep.
Definitely hated losing that. But it was very cool, like afterwards, when we all came down from that emotion and all of it. And that's what softball's about. Those great, crazy, the whole crowd was into it at the park, back and forth. And yeah, we came up on the short end, but that's what it's about to be involved in.
Hey, Mikey, let me ask you really quick. Was that game on a Saturday night?
That was on a Friday night or Saturday night. I honestly don't remember.
Oh.
But it was a nighttime game. Might have been Friday night, to be honest, but I don't know. I know where you're going with that, but that's coming up later.
Mike, you can just feed into that. Just tell Jimmy it was a Saturday night. Just
no, I don't need to feed his ego anymore. But growing pains, we suffered a bunch of them last year. So we're going to have more this year, but to come out winning a tournament like that, I think it's good for a multitude of ways, but it also puts another target on our back. You go into every tournament wanting to win. We're all competitors. You don't sign up for these things just to go donate $250 and waste a weekend at the field. So we all go into it with the mentality we want to win and play hard. And then whatever happens, happens. That's why we play the game. So to come out and win like this, we set the tone that proves to ourselves we can compete with just about anybody. You have to play great. We had some things go our way. It was crazy conditions with the wind. Some things that we can't control. Other teams get beat. We have no control over who gets beat in other parts of the bracket or who doesn't show up and doesn't sign up for the tournament. We paid our money. We showed up. But in winning this first opening tournament, I think it puts a target on us because we were one of those bubble, high A, low major teams. And we as Meatball City pay no attention to that. We don't care what people want to label us. We're going to go play our games, and however our record or our wins, loss, fall, that'll determine if we're A or major. That's going to take care of itself.
Yep.
But winning this tournament, like you said, it's probably going to, in the standings or whatever, bump us up. It's going to put a target on our back because people aren't going to want to lose to us. Now it may come with a little different connotation when they play us. But that's good because you want good, hard, competitive games.
Yep. No, yeah, I can't agree with you anymore. I think it's something that, when you play the big boys, they're going to be looking for you, right? So it's definitely something that you guys are going to need to get prepared for because it's
definitely.
And congratulations again on the weekend.
Thank you.
It's awesome, man, to see you guys win this tournament.
Yeah.
And
it was really cool. For some of these guys had never won a tournament, let alone make to a championship or make a good run like that.
Right.
So for some of these younger guys now, if everyone has the goal of wanting to win a Forest Park, win a major nationals, well, you need to win something to know what it's like to get there. So to have this under our belt now, guys know what it takes. You can win 4 games in a row in a day, deal with 3-hour breaks between and crazy weather, and the wind was howling like Donnie was saying earlier. That was crazy how bad the wind was. But again, things you can't control. That you got to just roll with the punches. And the guys did a great job of it. They stuck together. Everyone picked each other up all day. Someone didn't get a hit. The next guy did. And overall, I think we played pretty clean defense. But if there was a mistake or something happened, everyone was positive and picked each other up. It was great.
So really quick, I'm going to stop there, Donnie. Before you ask your next question, I want to get to the chat. Our chat is absolutely blowing up. We got people.
Blowing up.
I want to say hi. I want to say hi to a bunch of people. Donnie, if you want to read some of the comments, you can when I'm done. But I want to say hi to Marty Dozen that has just joined us. Welcome. JP's on. Natalie Marie's on. Dave Padilla's on. Our boy Timmy Kornikowski. Welcome to the show. Mark Manizzi, welcome. Billy Smith. Phil Coppersmith. O'Shea Jackson, Matt Mackey, the monster from Chuck's, Joey Becks, Ashley, welcome, Jason Strope, welcome, Drew Laddick, as we mentioned, Jake Reynolds, Tom Higgins, Luke Grimer. We have a ton of people commenting, obviously, but also a ton of people joining. So I'm scrolling down. So give me a second. Cody, welcome. Pat Clark, welcome. Brady Fisher, welcome. Brady Fisher says, that's my dude right there, Mr. Mikey. So he says hi.
Brady.
Larry Joseph Becca, welcome. Delano Prince, welcome. Glenn Quinn III, Randy Russ, welcome to the show. John Doss, welcome. Rich Acevis, welcome. Our boy Jackson Perry is joined. Jackson, we picked you to win the tournament this coming up weekend, so don't let us down, my man.
We both picked you to win.
Yeah. Jimmy DeFalco, I think I mentioned him. We have PJ Rain, Sean Weiss, Manuel, our boy Wags, Jesse Rosando, Randy Nelson, which I know Randy was all over me this week. He's like, I can't wait to your show because I want to hear you bash the umpires. And I'm thinking to myself, Randy, you are an umpire, you know. But he was getting kicked, a good laugh out of everything from the weekend. So definitely a fun atmosphere. Our chat is blowing up. I'm going to hand it over to you, Donnie. I don't know if you want to read or give the chat or any questions or comments come up.
I'll do both. Johnny Ryan, Chooch, thank you guys for keeping it interesting in the chat while we chat up here. We appreciate that very much. And I know you guys have some respect for each other, and it shows. Here's a great comment. It was from, I lost it now. Damn. It was from Jimmy DeFalco. Says, congrats, Mikey. I know you used to play a lot with him at Hex, and he's a great guy. He's super supportive of you, which is awesome. But man, what a good weekend for you, Mike. I'm really happy for you and really happy for the guys, and obviously a lot of my really close friends on that team. So it was awesome to see those guys being successful. My first question for you is about your fearless leader, the one you said has small hands, small fragile hands. Joel, he absolutely does.
So he catches with his elbows when he's in the outfield.
Yeah, he has to really kind of get on right. When I was playing with Meatball City, Joel was both a player and a manager. And now he's sort of transitioned out of the player role. And he's brought guys in to specifically play so he doesn't have to or doesn't need to essentially work around that. So Joel takes things a little bit differently in terms of a managerial role. He's very relaxed. I feel he's super easy to play for because he just wants guys to show up and play. I mean, that's the biggest thing I take about Joel is he has all these personalities on the team with Jake and yourself and Pops. So these are big personality guys. And he just wants those guys to show up and play softball. What is it like essentially playing for now Joel as just a manager who's going to be there and be as supportive as he is? Talk about Joel a little bit and how he was this weekend, but how he is in general too, kind of with this team.
Yeah, I was very happy for Joel this weekend. You could see that in the excitement as the day was going on and things were kind of getting closer to happening and coming to fruition. And I was very happy for him. He does a great job. You can tell because he takes that, as you said, separate player and manager role. He does almost kind of run it like his business in the sense of he doesn't have to worry about being on the field or his play and that messing with his mind. So all this time during the week when he's planning for games and lineups and all, he's also not worrying about, man, am I hitting and how am I doing in the field and all of that. Where he can, if we need him, he's a very viable option to throw out there. But it allows him to just purely focus on that. So then when it comes to the lineup and even just the things like the uniforms and his communication with all of us, you can see that he's just more focused on that and he has a clear mind of things because he doesn't have to worry about putting himself in the lineup and that taking away from people. And people then say, oh, well, he's only playing because he runs the team or because he's power of the pen, that old saying. So he runs it very much like he's the boss, but he's the boss. But you know what I mean by that. It's not like a controlling where you have to do what he says. He wants everyone to just show up and play on. That's all he asks. Show up, give me everything you have, and then he takes care of us with some nice uniforms and the hats. And he had us over today for food after the tournament. We hung out for a while at the park last night, but Tinley Park isn't the closest to where we're all at, so we were there for so afterwards, and then dispersed and then came back together today, about half of us, and had some pizza and talked about it all again. He does a great job in doing all that. I really think he's grown a lot as well in having to, like you said, the different personalities on the team, if you want to put it that way, but just having more options and having to weigh everything out with all of it. He's really taken a step back. He's done a great job of putting things in order. And I really like the way he runs the team. He does a great job with all of it.
He puts you guys in the Melrose League just so it's worth you guys going out and playing a doubleheader, right? Because like you said, Joey Filomeno comes from Rockford. I mean, that's a hell of a drive. Not many people would do that for one game. So it's nice of him to kind of look out for the guys like that. And, you know, you play in Westchester as well. So not the most competitive league in Westchester, but just another spot for you guys to play. And man, it's really cool to see you guys have developed over the last year, especially now losing Marty. But Ian was fantastic in center field. I got to know, did Ian get a uniform? He was wearing like a Costco.
Ian did not get a uniform. He did not get one, and he's not going to get one either.
No,
we're gonna make him play in that same grungy ass gray T-shirt that he had on all weekend, whatever nasty ass sweatpants he had on. No uniform because he played phenomenal.
He played really well.
You know what? We got a few of the uniforms. Ian lives, so a few guys live all over Rockford. We said Summer South. Ian's up north in Palatine, so he didn't make it out to our last BP session when we were handing out uniforms, and we weren't going to wear them on Saturday anyways because of the chance of rain or just the muddy weather and all that. So he didn't get them yet. We're doing them on Tuesday. He'll be uniformed up on Tuesday when we play.
Yep, we'll see you then.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We play you guys.
I believe we do. Yeah.
Jimmy, I'm gonna kick it back to you over there on the left side.
Yeah, so, you know, Mike, kind of leads me to my next question. We're talking about guys, new guys in softball, guys that you've played with. You know, but tell me who, or maybe you haven't played with them on a full roster, or maybe you have, but tell me someone that you either really enjoy playing with, or if you can't think of anyone of that, but maybe someone that you would like to play with in the future.
Yeah, I know you asked this to a few guys before, so I kind of was thinking about this. And I kind of have gone both ways. So as I was saying, when I first started playing, I get to meet a lot of older guys in the game now, or guys who don't play but are Hall of Famers and great players from the past. So I kind of thought of some guys from there that I would have liked to play with, and some current guys now. So now there's some guys that I do get to play with every once in a while on like our Slap and Tickle team when we go down to Yuma or in Melrose. But some guys that I really would like to play with in a full-time capacity, I think that would be really fun, would be Izzy and his son. I really enjoy playing with Israel and his son. You want to talk about two gamers. Israel Sanchez and Anthony Sanchez are two pure gamers. And along those lines with them, I always enjoy every time I get to play with Nate. He's one of the best out there now playing, and every time I play with him, I seem to pick something up, or you just get a different look at the game when you play with some guys like that. And Little Dave. I love playing with Little Dave. We played against him on Saturday, and every time we get to play with him, he's just so fun. He's another gamer, pure gamer, just plays so hard and a great player. So he's one of the guys too. But these are some couple guys that I get to play with every once in a while. So guys that I really never play with but are playing the game now, and I think would be pretty cool to play with. And I know I've built some good relationships with. Iggy, Joe Giarto. I always like the very few times I've got to. Just a great guy and another gamer. Michael Angie, I think, is one of the best players in the game right now. I've always wanted to play with him. Chris Guerin, another guy who just every time I play with him, I know we play 16-inch, but Chris has a pretty extensive history of softball of all levels and styles. Mm-hmm. So every time we play with him, just some stories and little things you pick up from him are great. But those are some guys from now. There was a couple guys that everyone kind of knows of, and I've seen play a little bit at the end, and maybe once like in Villa Park back in the day when I was 17 or 18. But I always thought it would have been great to play with the Russes, any of them, Bobby, Randy, and have Senior around. Yep. Because those are just three legends of the game.
Yeah.
But the two biggest that I would want to play with that I never have played in a true competitive major would be my Uncle Pat and Cousin Joe. I've never played with them. They were always on Windy City or Signature when it was that. And Joe had a stint with Mudville way back when. And I was on Traffic all those years. And I never got the call up to go play with them on those teams. So I always thought it would be cool. And it's kind of past that now. Hopefully we can get Uncle Pat around, come out with the Meatballs this summer once he's out and rolling around some more. And you never know with Cousin Joe, but those are the two that would probably be the real ones to check off the list.
Yeah, I mean, I would think Pat Caputo, that old fuck, would maybe eventually run a team. and you and Joey can definitely play for that team. I think that would be pretty cool to see.
That'd be really cool.
That's what I call him. That's my nickname for Pat Caputo. I just call him the old fuck. So
I know you guys have a good relationship.
An excellent relationship, and I love.
It was
Pat.
great seeing him on Saturday.
Yeah, it was really. I had no idea it was coming. I went 10 minutes before he showed up.
But
people were coming up to me. Hey, where's your uncle? He's like, no, he's not coming. He'll be out in a little while. You know, he's still getting. 10 minutes later, he came walking up to the field. That was awesome.
Yeah, I knew he was coming. I didn't know what time. He told me in the afternoon, and I had to run to my son's baseball game. So, unfortunately, I had to leave in the 5th or 6th inning of the shooter game. And I think at the time we were winning 4 or 5-2, and I had to walk out. So Robbie was able to finish that thing off for us and move on. But, it was just awesome. I knew he was coming. I didn't know they were doing the whole first pitch thing.
No, Matty
was really
surprised all of us. That was really cool.
Yeah,
really, really cool.
I thought that was really cool. And it's really good to see, when I talked to Pat, just as kind of his mind, and just everything that he's been through over the last couple of years, I think has been an awesome way for him. Just you could kind of see the relief.
Yeah, big time. Softball's important to our family, man. He's got a lot of friends out there. I got a lot of friends out there, and a lot of them are family members too, just because of how close we've all become over the years. He's got buddies that have been out there with him for 40 years, 50 years. Yeah. It's special. Yeah. It's more than just softball.
Yeah, 100%. And you know how much it means to him too. So that's always it's always a good thing to see him in a good mood. So
always.
Donnie, I have another question. I mean, obviously I have more questions, but do you have any other questions on your mind before I kind of get in? We got rapid fire. We got a lot of things lined up. So
we've got some stuff lined up for Mr. Marola here. Billy Anderson says Moji is overrated. A fantastic comment from Billy. Just to see if we're paying attention. We're always reading the chat. Amalia says another Marola boy, Mikey. I know she's a big Meatball City supporter on the stream. There's cousin Peter. Joe Caputo says Caputo family thanks the softball community for their support. So that's fantastic. That's a wonderful comment there. My next question for you, Mike. I mean, coming after Hex, you were kind of an outfielder, kind of playing all over the place with those guys, and with Traffic kind of playing all over the place with those guys, and then kind of made the transition to pretty much pitching only. And then is that something that you wanted to do? Like you just wanted to kind of take the stress off the legs from the outfield and just kind of just picking up on pitching? I know you're really good at it. So it's great to see a transition into a really nice spot there. But talk about the transition there. Were you just like, man, I'm tired. I don't want to run around anymore. What was that like?
Yes, pretty much. 20 years of coaching wrestling, and it's one thing to play the outfield, but I like to think that I held myself to a higher standard of I put my body on the line. If I could die for it, I'm going to die for it. If I'm running into a fence or a wall, I'm going to run into a fence or the wall. Because I'm going to put everything out there for my teammates that I can, because I expect them to also. 20 years of that caught up to me. 2004, I started playing the outfield. So 20 years of coaching wrestling and doing that adds up on my knees and my back. And I can still go out there, and I enjoy going out there and playing the outfield. But if I have to play 4 games in a day, like on Saturday, or 7 games like we did 2 weekends ago with Slap and Tickle,
Yep.
I can't walk for 4 days. I'm 37 years old. I shouldn't be not able to walk for 4 days after that. So to do myself to hopefully be able to keep playing for a while, I had to kind of step out of the outfield. And again, in situations when we're short, I'll go to the outfield. I have no problem doing it. I'll play. I didn't go to Meatball City purely to pitch. Now it's kind of cool and makes me feel good that they have that confidence in me that they want me to, and they have that faith in me. But I didn't go to the team just because I'm going to go pitch there. It allowed me to take a step back from having to play as much outfield, but not purely to pitch. So I'll have my stints here and there. We were just talking today at our meeting that, with Doss coming on our team this year also, it gives us another option as pitching. Myself, Carbs, my buddy Eric, Doss. I don't have to pitch every game. If we're short guys or someone needs a break or they're in a funk, I can play second base or go to the outfield or not come out if I have to. Just give other guys chances. So it really was just wear and tear. I would love to be able to go out there and keep playing it full speed all the time, but my legs and back just don't allow it.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately.
There's your buddy Joe Carnes right there. Meatball City has a sick pitching staff. One of the deepest out there.
I also want to read a comment from Drew, as I should say, Will, and this dog won't shut up. Hold on. Sorry, I'm sitting in my yard and this dog next door won't shut up. Our boy Drew, which I should say Will, he made a comment. He says, "I'd rather play the outfield than pitch anymore." I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, I see that.
And Pops is saying that, okay, good, then put Brady on the mound. But I know in a month from now we'll get to play a whole weekend with those guys. Looking forward to it. It should be a fun weekend. You know, I know Drew. I'm assuming he's going to play short center. My guess, I'll play third or whatever it may be. You know, so it's going to be an awesome weekend coming ahead. I cannot wait. We're about a month away, so
we're 23 days away exactly. If you remember my countdown today,
I was just going to say that you got the Mikey countdown going on. So not many of our viewers know about that, but the Slap and Tickle team that goes to Yuma, they all are well aware. So. You know, Mike, my next question for you before we get to rapid fire is really kind of dipping into what we talked about earlier on the show, and that's really the umpires. And the reason why I want to bring this up, and the reason why I want to just touch on it a tad in a positive manner, is really about kind of the vision that we're trying to set aside for making sure players respect umpires, making sure that things continue to hopefully get better on that aspect. What's your opinion on posting close calls and doing those things for people to get even more irate? Or, you know, in our game, we've had some bad calls, you know, and shit's going to happen. I'm not blaming those calls on the reason why we lost. It's not.
Right. No, I get you.
But you know how a bad call can change the momentum of a game.
Sure.
And sometimes they're just so damn blatant. It's like, how the F did you miss that? But it happens.
Sure. There's always those extenuating circumstances. Yeah. There's always those crazy calls that, sure, it's a bad call and it does happen to have an impact on. But let's be honest, those are kind of few and far between, right? Where it truly impacts a game.
Yep.
There's always every bang call, every close call, someone's going to not be happy. But one team is going to be ecstatic that they got the right side of it, and the other team is going to think that they got screwed on it. It's always going to happen.
Right.
The problem comes when full teams rush the field. Now, go back a step to your point. Do I think it's good to post video clips of all this stuff? I agree with Donnie. I think it's cool that the SSA takes time. They're going to try and cut up video clips and get attention and get buzz going. First, that's awesome. Now, Jimmy, yes, you're right. Could they have maybe picked a better clip that didn't show that situation of people clearing out of the dugout and that's being a point of emphasis? Yeah, maybe we could have picked a different clip. But I think it's a good thing we're making the buzz. Now, I'm going to go back another step with that. When you guys were talking about that and I was in the green room waiting, we showed this clip. The flash guys came running out. I don't know who it was. I don't know how many of them there was, but a couple guys came running out of the bench. And Chooch should have kicked them out of the game. And Chooch made a comment that said, I could have kicked them out. And in the chat, he said it. Well, that's kind of part of the problem. He should have kicked them out. We're trying to make an emphasis on this. There was the time to do it. It sucks. No umpire wants to kick 5 guys out of a game. Because now then, here again, you're going to say, well, you kick 5 guys out, now you're having an impact on the game. Mm-hmm. That is going to have an impact. But to the other points that were said in the chat, if you kick 5 guys out of that game for doing what, we all know we're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to run out and charge the umpire. But we feel entitled to do it. We're friends with the umpires, so we do it and think we get away with it. If we draw the line and we kick them out, the line's in the sand. Now you know what's going to happen. So, yes, Chooch kind of fumbled that one by not kicking him out. He was right. Jibbs did, and if I remember correctly, Jibbs and Bobby Russ did diffuse the situation very quickly. It didn't escalate. It didn't continue on. They pushed them back, and then the coaches spoke with the umpire.
Yeah.
But that's just what it has to get to. If there's a bad call, let the coach go scream and act like an idiot and be the one to cause a scene. Because if he's the one who's doing it, just the one guy, it's not going to be as bad as 6 guys doing it, and now we have a big benches clearing. That's when it becomes an issue. No one's going to be happy. Say your piece. Let the umpire know you're upset that he didn't make the right call, and then move forward. Because I think you brought some good points, Jim. Most of the time, they're bang calls. They're not going to get every one of them right.
No, they're not.
They're human. We're all human. Yes, they're getting paid. I understand that. They're getting paid, so they need to be held to a higher standard. Well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt to start. We all need to kind of take a step back on both sides of this. The umpires can't be abrasive when guys come out at them, because that doesn't make the situation better. But we can't have 7 guys coming out at umpires every time there's one bad call in a game. Right. How many times does a game start and literally the first pitch of the game, the umpire calls a ball and 7 guys start hooting and hollering?
Yeah.
Let the game establish. We're all better than it. We all know not to do it, but we've just been getting away with it for so long that they're just going to keep going. So it really is going to come down to one umpire is going to have to step the foot down, and it has to be the right time. It can't be just kick someone out to kick them out and prove a point. It has to be a situation like that where it was a bang play, guys get heated, 5 guys come out. Now you have grounds to stand down on the rule that they're trying to establish.
I got to think I'm 2-1 odds on being the first guy kicked out. What do you think, Mike?
Oh, I would take that.
Are there better odds? You got to be minus 1,000 to be the first guy kicked out. Okay. Mikey, I kind of have a follow-up question for you from what we're talking about here. And
yeah,
you umpire yourself, right? You umpire at the A level.
I did this past summer, yeah.
Yeah, I think you've got some really nice praise from Brian Panic when he was on our show. You know, we have guys that are very friendly with players. At what level is it difficult to separate that friendship from the umpire standpoint? Because I've never umped, and obviously, we talk to everybody out there. Is that difficult to do? Especially like Chooch's inner comments on the show, right? Sure.
I have to imagine the longer you've umpired, obviously you build more relation. It has to be difficult, right? Yeah. So I did probably 20 to 25 games this past summer, A and B tournaments that obviously our team were not playing. And I didn't run into too many issues. I'm not saying I made every call correctly because I probably blew a couple of them. But I didn't run into too many issues. I think I kept a decent control of the field. We ran into a few things, but I tried to really step back from that part, like you said. Like the chatter between innings, I stood behind the plate, I would dust it off, and I just tried to kind of keep my mind focused on the game. Now, again, I'm new to it, so I have to make sure I'm on it because I'm trying to remember everything I need to do. It's not just second nature to me like some of these guys. But I can't see where it would be if you've been umping some of us for 15 years. I've known Oscar. I said I started playing in 2004. Oscar, some of these guys have been umpiring this whole entire time. So I can see where that'd be difficult. But I think they do need to kind of separate. For that 1 hour, you don't need to make jokes and goof around but I know we all want to have a good time, and it is just recreational softball, right? No one's getting paid besides the umpires. We're just out there to have fun. But if we're trying to take it serious and get it back to the level that it was in the past, I think we do kind of need to take that for that hour when the game's on. We don't need to be friends. Do your job. Umpire the game. Make your jokes afterwards. If you want to bust balls behind the dugout after the game's over, that's one thing. But during that hour, don't talk to people behind the backstop. Don't be doing it. Just umpire the game.
Yep.
Again, I think both parties need to do. Players need to lay off a little bit. Let the coach do the arguing. Say your piece and let it die. Really know which plays that are worth it, and then it'll hopefully get a little bit better. But we need to take a lot of ownership too as players.
Yep.
Yeah, no, the whole umpire thing to me, I think it's just, I think what drives people bananas is the fact that they get $50 to $55 an hour a game. Okay, but it's kind of when they start talking back or saying certain things, you know that the players are going to be emotional. That's just part of the job, right?
Sure.
When I go to work every day, I know who the employees are going to be emotional, who are they're not, and you have to understand that you're going to get some pushback here and there. And I know when they umpire my game, you damn right they're going to get pushed back because it's like I want to make sure that we're going to get the next call. And I think that's part of the game too, right? It's
Sure, there's a little gamesmanship in it, a little bit. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And that's where I'm going with it. It's like there's some gamesmanship to let them know, like, hey, you blew that one. I want to get the next one when it's
sure, for sure.
And
for sure.
I think some of those umpires have to understand that too. And
absolutely,
it's not all on the umpires. It's not all, there's, 99% of the games that are played are not lost by the umpire. Okay.
No.
There is the 1% every now and then that is, but, that shit happens. So
right. That's life.
I think we put that topic to rest. I know, we support umpires, everyone but Randy, of course.
Right.
Right. No, Randy.
I think Randy's been doing a really good job, and I told him that the other day too.
Yep, we said on the show last week. He's been doing a really. He said he watches the show because Brian Panic watches the show, and he's trying to get more games. So Randy's been doing a nice job because Brian Panic's around. I respect.
There you go.
I respect.
I think it's awesome. So this kind of leads me a little bit into softball, things that we want to change, but also just kind of like where the state of the game's at now. So, Mike, you've played a while, right? What are some of the things in softball today that kind of bother you from when you started?
All right. So without going back to the whole umpires and like the respect and that, I don't want to get into that. So I'm going to take it to one thing that I was thinking about with this.
Players, right?
So, I'm sorry.
I said I'm talking strictly with the players. From when you started 20 years ago or 15, 20 years ago to where you're at now, just with the players, what is something that maybe you're like, you know what, I wish the majority would do more of this?
Yeah, well, it's hard for me to say I wish they'd do more of this, but one thing that I've noticed is the thing that everyone says is like the commitment. There's so many other things to do and distractions now. When softball was king, that's all there was to do. You'd go to the park, you'd spend all weekend there, you'd bring your family, and you'd play ball. Now you have concerts and just so much easier to do so much other stuff. There's so many things going on. We're in Chicago, right? It's a poppin' city. There's always something to do. So it's just not as much of a priority. How to make it a priority to more people? Like we have that old school mentality. There's a few of us out there. So I remember growing up, every family party, it was Saturday or Sunday, and say, hey, where's Uncle Pat at? Oh, he's got a tournament right now. He's out playing ball. We grew up like, I have friends that I've missed friends' weddings because we had Nationals Labor Day weekend. I show up to parties after we play on Saturdays. I have my nephew's birthday's next Saturday, and my sister knows I'm going to play ball during the day, and then I'll be there afterwards in my uniform, nice and dirty, to hang out with the boys. But it's just, you have to make it a priority. If it's that important to you, then you'll make it a priority. Right. But it's hard to get that. I understand it's with all these distractions to get everyone in. So I think one thing that's missing, and there's not as many park leagues. We got to get more park leagues back. Yeah. I've noticed I've lost 2 park leagues in the last 2 years. There was a league in Villa Park that I said I started playing in back when. Villa Park used to be a great league back in the day. Mike Ellerby and Gary Hampson and Stetter and all these guys coming out of there. And now they just canceled the league because they tore it down to build a little fitness center there. And then our team had to scramble, find a new Friday night league. We go to Glendale Heights. Well, that league canceled because there's only 2 teams in the league now. All these little park leagues that, the Grant Park tournament used to be so great because if I remember right, all the park leagues, you had to kind of like earn your way to funnel yourself into all of that stuff. We got to find a way to get younger kids out of high school in the parks playing it more. And from there, we'll keep growing. Because I think these guys are doing a great job with the A and the major and separating it out. And Francisco's doing this B-level stuff is amazing.
Yep.
But somehow we got to get not even the A and B, just the parks. We need more people growing. And I think all these videos, Gio cutting up clips to get buzz. And I know he's on the radio all the time, on the score and whatnot. I heard ESPN 1000 talking about 16-inch softball the other day because the White Sox are so bad they didn't want to talk about them anymore. So there's little things going on. There's buzz popping. But I'd like to see more park leagues trying to pop back up, getting life back in the suburbs and that. because the city and the south side's still going. They're still rocking down there.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a great point. I think it's something that we need to do. Doing things like what we're doing, bringing more awareness around the game. Hopefully that helps with
Yeah.
the younger kids, right? I mean, our younger generation is really about technology. The more video clips, I know Donnie and I, we had talked about that months ago on our show. Something about us wanting to do more of the clips, and we've done some dances, and we've done some stupid things that have kind of went viral. And to your point, Mike, that's what a lot of the people like, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the new thing now. So, which is awesome to see. And I think it's really cool the SSA is doing that now, which is great to see as well. I just think that when we do that, we need to, maybe pick a bomb if we get it on film, right? A lot of times it has to be on film. That's the key.
Yeah, if you can give like highlight reels and stuff, and the tournaments and that recaps, it'd be really cool getting that. But that's how we're going to attract the young. Like you said, they all love that stuff. Everyone wants to see themselves, videos and all that. So it'd be really cool.
We put up a video on our page, the first tournament of the Dome.
Yeah.
And we got like 15,000 views on like a 30-second highlight clip.
It was Sean Quinn.
Yeah, it was Sean Quinn hitting a base hit. So it was, just something like that. And then people shaking hands and, something like those things are awesome to see, right? And it just takes time to edit it and all that good stuff.
Right.
But I think it's really cool. And I think we'll see more of that. I mean, that's what 12-inch does. 12-inch gets 50 to 100,000 views on some of their stuff because of what it is. So I think it's really cool to see, and I think it's something that hopefully moving forward we're going to see more of. And Donnie and I, we didn't get a chance to go live this weekend. We wanted to, but I with I had 4 kids with me. For those that didn't know, I had my neighbor's kid. First time he ever saw 16 in softball though. So he was asking me what
starting them early. See. You're doing your job.
Yeah. So, grow with the youth. And, they were talking about the rest of the day and the next day because, Hunter and Jackson, they're like 2 peas in a pod. They're together 24/7. That's like his best friend. So it's kind of it's fun to see those kids, see the game. And that's how we grow. And I think more and more the families need to bring their kids around to see the softball game grow. So great points, great things. Donnie, why don't you, before we get to rapid fire, I'm going to say hi to a couple fans and then you can get to the comments. Our boy Jason from the Fat Kids, welcome. James, welcome. Ryan, welcome. Anthony Minnick, welcome. Kenny Jones, Paul, welcome. Bill, welcome. Dave, welcome to the show. Jack, welcome to the show from our circus team. Jim, welcome. And then I know Donnie's itching to probably read his Fearless Leaders comments, but we got Jason Cano, welcome. Tim Dalton, Diane Marola, our boy CJ is watching. Billy Anderson is watching. Larry is watching. Tim is watching. So welcome, guys, to the Uncle Jimmy Cousin Donnie Show, sponsored by the Beacon Tap and Mr. Tom Reamer on the Displays. So we definitely appreciate his support. We will be having another check-in from a bar in the next week or two, depending on the supporter of 16-inch softball. So Donnie and I will be doing that as well. And Donnie, over to you for the comments.
Yeah, some good comments coming in. Drew Ladick says, Mike told me he wants more fences in softball so people can potentially hit it over the fence. Maybe a little bit of a backstory there. Mike, Sal does make a really good comment, Jim. Not that I want to all right, fine. I want to talk about him. There is nothing wrong with questioning an umpire as long as it's not disrespectful or personal. And I think that's a great point. And playing for Sal, even for the short time that I've done it, he asks good questions. He's never disrespectful. He just sort of asks, and he's pretty stand up for his guys, and I really like that. And I saw it this weekend a little bit, especially in that flash game. But it's nice to be backed by somebody like that. Mark Robinson Jr. says, go back to nationals being out of state. When I think I played, it was like in Indiana for a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken, at that facility over there. Drew Ledick says Clincher is coming, which is, I think that's their Clincher Classic, if I'm not mistaken. they changed the name of that tournament, which is fantastic, and
Yep.
and that's great for the game with those guys in Iowa. And then Sal says, Mikey, congrats to you in Meatball City. You guys played awesome, well deserved. So
Thank you,
some
Sal.
of the awesome comments from our guys. We appreciate you guys watching the show. And Jimmy, before you get into rapid fire, I wanted to mention we're doing the family for the Danish Strong tournament. The Lococo family has decided to sell some raffle tickets. $50 for a raffle ticket. Are you going to be drawing them at the tournament to see who kind of wins, or you want to go through that really quickly?
Yeah, so we're going to be selling basically 400 tickets. They're $50 a ticket. The family, I want to give my condolences. The recipient of the Danish Strong this year has passed away. She just passed away about a week ago. The family has decided to start a raffle in her honor and in the Danish Strong honor as well. Just more of a donation, more of a way to raise money towards the foundation. It's something that, we continue to grow year over year. You guys know how much it means to me to put on that tournament and see the growth, not only of our softball game, but also of the family and the support and the amount of attention they put around it. It is really a cool thing to see. And I think this is something that, we talked a little bit last week, Donnie, about getting maybe some of the Chicago Cubs players at the end of the year and playing for a charity. It's something that I think we need to do more of. I know there's a ton of charity tournaments, and I understand that. But, I'm saying we need to do more of it on a bigger scale. And that is a way we can grow our game. And not only that, but give back to people in need. And I think that's a huge way to show the support of our game and at the same time help someone out who really needs the help. And I think in this situation, I was sad to hear the news about Rachel Lococo. And once again, I just want to give my condolences to the family, and hopefully that day when the Danish Strong takes place, the weekend before Nationals, which is that Saturday, I would hope and I pray that that family member can come out there, and I would love to meet them individually. I know that Anthony Lococo, who was on my Flash team years ago, this is his sister-in-law. So, I obviously I know I have some ties to the family, but I would love to meet the entire family that day and show support. And I think the softball community will be 100% behind it. And you play in the tournament, you've played there, and you've seen it continue to grow year over year. And I think they do an awesome, awesome job. So,
Jim, if I could step in for a second, I'm going to pat you on the back for a second, because I know a lot of people may say you're an asshole and you get a bad rap sometimes.
Yeah.
You do a phenomenal job with the Danish Strong tournament. You do have a heart. You care a lot about this tournament and the people that you help out with it and the families. So an extra little kudos to you for doing a great job. You do put on a great event every year with it. It's a great thing that you do these families help. It goes a long way. You do a great job. So thank you for that. And I'm sure the families are very appreciative of it all. It's a great thing that you do. It's awesome.
I appreciate that, Mike. And yes, I am an asshole, but that's why I wear.
Yeah. See, but there's a heart in there. He is a nice guy in there. I've seen it.
But for those people that do know me, they know I do have a heart.
Yes.
And, even though my wife might not say so, but I do.
I can't speak for her Aunt Jenny.
Yeah, that's our Aunt Jenny. More power to her for sure. But I'm a lot nicer than people think. So, but either way, enough about me. Mike, this is about you, and this leads us into our rapid fire, right? So rapid fire is a segment that we have you really say a sentence or two, or maybe one word that describes the individual that I give you.
I'll try not to be as long-winded as Mickey was in his segment.
That's okay.
Nobody is as long-winded as Mickey, so you've got to beat already.
Yeah, that's okay, though. Mickey also drank 15 Miller Lights during
Yes.
So,
hit me.
So I'm going to start with number 10, and that's our boy, Mickey Balestri. Boy, did we set that one up.
Yeah, you really did. You really did. Mickey is awesome. I've learned a lot from Mickey. I've learned a lot watching him and playing against him. He's a riot to hang out with at the park. He's a competitor. Mickey's a great dude. I like Mickey Blush. Big Mick and Little Mick, but I'm assuming we're talking about Little Mick.
Yes, we're talking about Little Mick, and I also want to add this. Little Mickey is not on the Meatball team because of you. So that's also an incredible thing. So
I don't believe that. I don't think that's the case, but those are your words, not mine.
That's fine. I'm just busting my guy Mickey's balls. That's all I'm doing here. Number 9. This is a first ever in the rapid fire history.
Yeah.
This is not an individual name. This is the actual Yuma tournament. Number 9.
Oh, get in line. That's what I have to say.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yuma, for anyone who's never been, unbelievable. Forest Park is the mecca of softball around here. Yuma's pretty damn close. There's bigger crowds right now because it's just there's 40 teams in the tournament. By the championship game Sunday night, there are 40 teams with a tent pitched around that field, talking trash to every single one of us Chicago guys that are out there. It's a atmosphere like I've never experienced, and I can't wait to go down and bring 3 people this year.
You know, Donnie, we have a fan club, Donnie, in left field that supports 29. Just gonna throw that out there. My fan club, 29 is coming back to Yuma, so don't worry about it, guys. We'll be out there. Last year we were eating tacos with those guys. I love them.
Yeah,
so.
They're great. Everyone down there is awesome.
Awesome.
We've made some really great connections. The Faux Show guys, Maple Street, the Budweiser guys, Psychopaths guys, all of them. All the teams down there are great. Hot sauce guys, yes. They're so cool. It's so much fun when we're down there.
Yes. But I thought that was a first ever in the rapid fire.
That's good. That was good.
All right, number 8, your boy from Traffic, Nick Gatta.
The best. Nutbag, but the best. Some of my fondest memories of softball are seeing his hat go flying across left field. When I first started playing on Traffic, he was in the outfield for a little bit stuff. I had some moments out there with him. Nick Gatta is what 16-inch softball is all about. It thrives on guys like him. Traffic was formed in 1985, if I'm not mistaken, by Dean Pritt. And then in like 86 or 88, something like that, Nick took over and has been running the ship ever since. So just to think about that, guys jump around from team to team every single year. This guy's been running the show since the late 80s. He's the best. Has a team in every event that needs to be in the big major events. Supports everything. Just true diehard what 16-inch softball is. You can always count on a cooler of Miller Lights in the back of Nick's car at every tournament. Hanging out in the parking lot are some of my best memories. I always tell these Meatball City guys, I learned so much about 16-inch softball in those years. Yeah, maybe we didn't win everything or win a ton, but man, when I tell you softball's about family and so much more than just that time on the dirt, they showed me all that. And Nicky Gatta was the true leader of it all.
That leads me into number 7. This is someone who wasn't out there this weekend for us, but I know there's someone who's very close to you, Mr. Rob Scahill.
Rob Scahill. Rob and I grew up together. He played travel baseball with myself and Eric Coppersmith, who's on Meatball City, and high school baseball with Josh Lubin, who's on Meatball City. And when Rob pitched in the major leagues, like he told you guys, when he came out of the league, and we were like, wait, Rob's back in town. And he had kind of dabbled in softball a little bit, and we reached out to him and got him to come play with our Friday night league with our buddies. And I told Richie, we got to get him to come out to Hex. And I'm so happy to see him dive headfirst into the game and fall in love with it as much as we have. And hopefully one day we'll get to throw it down together again out there on the field. But I'm so happy to see him and see the player he's grown into. He's getting pretty good now. I can only imagine a few more years.
Yeah. No, he's turned himself into a really, we threw him into shortstop last year. I knew he was going to have some growing pains just because, he's not really played the game as long as some others. But he's handled it well. I think, him obviously having the background that he's had, obviously crowds don't bother him, but at the same time, it's just the confidence that I think he brings, right? I think is he's that quiet leader that I like on the field.
Sure.
And he's somebody that I know, him and we have an incredible relationship. And, I lean to him for a lot of things, just one-offs on the field sometimes, and he don't even know it. So
yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of my guys there. So number 6.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Number 6. This is a guy that everyone loves to tell me that I don't like. Take one guess who number 6 is.
Gio.
Our boy Gio.
Wow, 6. That's high for Gio. He's usually in the top 3, Jim.
Gio is unbelievable. He does so much for the game of softball. Everyone says it. Everyone knows it. I'm fortunate enough to be on the SSA board. I go to some of the meetings. I help out whenever I can. Those guys do way more than I do. I will not take any of the credit that those guys deserve. I'm just a body to help out when they need a hand at tournaments and with whatever I can help out with, because I know they need it. But the things that this guy does, the time that he dedicates to our game it's unmatched by anybody. So he deserves a ton of credit for that. Could he do a few things different? Sure, we all could. Has he made a few poor choices? We all have. But Gio is phenomenal. We would not be here doing many things if it were not for Gio and for the SSA. So Thank you, Gio, for all of your unwavering time and effort that you put in. And I know my uncle and him get along and do a lot of things together. So Gio's a big part of the game. Big part of the game.
Number 5. This is also a first in the. Well, I guess it's not. It's a second. I had one of the top 10s before. I had the brothers. So I'm going to go ahead and say number 5 is the Wiz brothers.
The Wiz brothers, up and coming. I still think they got a little bit of learning to get in with them because they still haven't played a whole ton. Right? That's kind of the beauty of this team too. They still got a lot of learning to do. They don't really know what they have in front of them. But man, do they have a bright future. The more they keep playing, the more they stick with it and just get reps and reps. We grew up, Jim, I know you were the same way. I played 5 nights a week, triple header some nights, jumping. I'd play a game in Lombard, then I'd shoot to Villa Park, and then I'd shoot to Elmhurst and catch the 9:30 or 10:30 game at night. We'd play 200 games in a summer and not blink an eye. They just need reps. Like a lot of other young kids who are still just playing and still getting time in. You need a lot of reps. As much as we all think we've played so, you need a lot of reps to really get and understand. Because, it's just underhand softball, but the little intricacies and the things you pick up being around these old guys who've been around forever and the things they've seen, there's lots of little parts of the game that you don't pick up unless you're paying attention.
Well, Mike, I hate to break this to you, Mike. We're the old guys now.
I know. I know, Jim.
Those two Wiz brothers are stud athletes. I mean, through the high school, like at Lamont, they're royalty in Lamont because of how incredible they were in their high school sports. And in college, Mike was an unbelievable basketball player, baseball player. Nikki, same thing. I mean, I talk to those guys 4 or 5 times a week. I mean, I love those guys, and I'm really happy that they have you and they have the guys around you guys to guide them and get better. But man, I'm happy you brought those guys up, Jimmy. Those guys, they are going to get so much better, truly.
Yeah, they're giants. They're both freaking. I'm not a very tall guy. Everyone knows that, but I have to do this when I look at them and say hi. They're big boys. It's nice to have 2 big bodies on that side of the infield.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So that leads me into the next 2 brothers that play on your team. That's Pops and Joel.
Oh, Pops and Joel. The brothers. I've gotten very close to Pops and Joel the last handful of years. Pops I've played against since I started back when, so I've known him for a little while. But since when he came over to Hex, maybe a year before that, we started playing a lot in the parks. We got very close. Great guys. I would say brothers. They're brothers to each other, and they're like brothers to me. I talk to Joel or Pops probably every day, one of them. We're always going back and forth about something.
I was fortunate enough. I get to play with Pops and Joel when Maddie throws a team together out in the Hamlin tournament.
Yep.
I don't know Joe much. I know Pops a lot more. Just from playing with Pops on Hacks, he was on the team a couple years ago when we basically finished top 4 in every tournament that year that we played. So we had a really nice team, and I felt like Pops that year he had some ups and downs, but he was always somebody that I always got along with, and I always thought
gamer.
Yeah, gamer off the field always was just cool to kind of shoot the shit with. So definitely agree with you there. So right now we're gonna go ahead and stop. I'm gonna hand it over to you, Donnie. Here, I know we had a couple people join. Chris Miller, Rich Michael, Mark Manizzi, the father. But Donnie, go ahead and read some comments before I get to my top 3 in rapid fire.
Yep. Marky Robinson put a good comment a little while ago. He said, when my dad played nationals, they were in South Bend, South Dakota, and Arizona, to name a few. I know we were talking about Indiana a little bit. Drew Layden called you the MVP when you were talking about Yuma. Joey Carbs is chiming in with some great stuff. Says just go for the shirtless guy sliding into second. And then he said he would flop around like a penguin if that was him.
So Donnie, let me stop you there really quick.
Yeah.
He's talking about in the championship game at Yuma, there's a guy that runs in from center field shirtless, usually with a box over his head, and they dive in the second base. So that's what that.
But it's like the infield's like sheetrock. He stands up and he just looks like he went down asphalt shirtless.
Yeah.
Pop said if you need a babysitter, there you go. He would babysit your kids. That's a pretty cool tradition. I would like to see a video of that. I want to see what that guy's going through.
And it's like in the middle, the game's going on. It's not like it's like the game's happening and this guy just hops the fence and just beelines it for second base.
Yeah. So tell Pops I will take him up on that one. Sometimes me and Aunt Jenny need to get a dinner date. So tell Pops to make the ride out to Lamont.
Like, if you would let Pops watch your kids, I'm very happy to hear that.
He always talks about him. He always loves him. So Mikey, back to you. Here's our top 3, my man.
Okay.
I thought hard on this list, as you know, and I thought that this top 3, I think there's some meaning behind it. There's some people behind it, and then there's some good laughs behind it. So, one of the individuals we've talked about a lot tonight, but number 3 is Richie Bettistoni.
Brother, Richie's one of my best friends. I got to know Richie very well on a personal level too, not just softball. I've gotten very close with Morgan and Carter and the whole family. Richie's one of my brothers. I don't have any brothers, so I have a few very close best friends that I consider very close to me, and he's one of them. Didn't work out on Xless playing together for whatever reasons, but he's still one of my best friends. We talk all the time. We hang out all the time. I still enjoy playing with him. We play together, but he's one of my best friends, and he does a lot for that Hex team. I give him so much credit for everything he does. It's not easy. As Downey was saying earlier, running a team, playing, having to manage it all, do all of that stuff all at the same time, just like Nikki has done these years. It is not easy. I would not want to have to manage all of that stress. But Richie's one of my best friends. I appreciate everything Richie's done for me. He's a great guy.
Absolutely.
Even though he's got one of those reps too. If you don't know him, you may not say he's a great guy, but Richie's a great guy.
That's why him and Jimmy get along so well.
It's exactly why they get along so well.
Yeah, no, I get along with Richie, as many of you know. I know we never in the beginning we did not get along very well. Not saying when I was on Hacks. I'm talking about met him in life. But he's grown up tremendously. We've all grown up, right? And he's turned himself into somebody that, I consider one of my good friends and one of my best friends in regards to I can trust him with pretty much anything that I do. And I know it's hard to say that about people. So I agree with you 100%. Number 2 is somebody close to your heart. Obviously, we've talked a lot about him on the show tonight, him throwing out the first pitch, everything he does for softball. But Mikey, if you had to explain Pat Caputo in 1 or 2 sentences, what would it be?
1 or 2 sentences isn't enough. It's like a second dad. I have a great relationship with my parents. I love my father. I love my mother. spend a lot of time with Uncle Pat, especially in the summers. I see him more than I see my parents a lot of times. From being at the games, whether he's playing with when he's running teams or he's just there. We're together a lot. I've learned a lot from him. I enjoy all my time with him. It's so hard to kind of sum it all up. Really, I love the guy. I've learned so much, softball and non-softball. The connections that I've made through him, with him, I couldn't thank him enough for everything. That's why it was so cool to be able to do that on Saturday with Maddie throwing that pitch out and be a part of it. I told you, those people that I wanted to play with ever since I started, since I was 18, I just wanted to play with Uncle Pat. He's a legend. He's in the Hall of Fame, right? All you hear about is Patty Caputo and his pitching.
Yeah.
Don't even bother hitting it up the middle. So now to pitch and to see Cousin Joe pitching, and it's all just lingering in the back of your head. You got those shoes and those eyes watching over you. But he's the biggest critic, but he's your biggest fan. That's why he's the best.
Yep.
Love him. Love you, Uncle Pat.
So, number one, they call him the score legend. Okay? He is a gentleman who is the best-looking softball player in softball besides Donnie and I. Okay? He's probably a close 3, Donnie, to you, because we all know you're not 1, all right, Donnie, when it comes to looks. But this gentleman, I think, has probably one of the funniest personalities. He is the guy that you went to Meatball City and, kind of took some time away from him, Mikey, but that's okay.
Why are you saying that about everybody? It's like the third guy you said that about today. What the hell?
I have to bust your balls, okay, buddy? That's all I got right now, all right? And his name is Joey Carbs, the scores legend. Tell me about Joey Carbs, number 1 on the rapid fire from Mr. Mikey Marola.
Number 1 in our hearts also. Joey Carbs, glue guy. He's the best. You want to talk about a guy that just keeps everyone motivated, everyone together. It's like you said, he's got the best personality, keeps it. Maybe it's because he's around dead people all the time. He's just got that nice, calm demeanor to him. He doesn't get super worked up. But he really is. He has that. He's just, you're all fired up and he comes over and he's got that. It's okay. Don't worry about it. He's the best. He's the best. It was such a lift seeing him come strolling up Saturday halfway through the day. He's a true glue guy. He keeps all the pieces together. And he's been around forever, so it's not like he's just some guy who's just farting around. He knows everyone we're playing against. Again, sorry, Joe, I took time from you. I'm sorry. I love you. But you can throw him out there to pitch if we have to. He's just a great guy. He's a great guy to have around. The best.
Yeah. He's one of the – really quick, Jim. He's one of the guys – he doesn't almost play a lot for you guys, but he's okay with that. He's one of the only guys that is okay – almost not getting the reps that he may want. He's just happy to be out there with a team, I think. And, he wears the Puma gym shoes, whether he's playing or not playing. Those are his spikes. So you're probably right. He's around people that are dead all the time. For him to be able to be around alive people is just a huge relief for him.
He's the best. He's the best. He keeps it so light and entertaining, and he's a great time to hang out with.
Yeah. So we had a comment. Well, actually, our boy, there he is, Joey Carbs. Trust me, I don't need to play. I'm there for the look at butts and drink. So I also want to read a comment from Lee Reeder. He actually is a big supporter of our show as well. He comments and emails and texts or messages all the time. He says, "Congrats, Mikey, on you guys winning the tournament. At least I'm not a legend yet. So I don't know what he means by that, but congrats on winning the tournament.
Thank you, Lee.
Mr. Mark Benizzi says Carbs would be a great guest on this show. Might be too much handsome though. So
that would be tough.
Yeah, I don't even know how he would fit his head on the screen, but mine fits. So his definitely would, right? So that's a good thing with his hair. So
Joey Carbs would be a great guest on the show.
That would be a good thing. So Mikey, Donnie, do you have any questions before I get to my last question for Mike, and then we hand it over?
Before Jimmy asks his last question, Mike, thank you from me personally for coming on the show tonight and just kind of being available after the tournament was over. I have to give you credit. We messaged you late Saturday night, and you replied in a second and said, "I would love to be on the show." So, we appreciate that, and the dedication to the game and you being here with us is great. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having
So,
me.
Mike, you're also going to start something that we're going to do throughout the year.
Okay.
Now that our show is moved to Sunday, 9 p.m. over the course of the summer, because obviously we're playing, and so on, moving on, we are going to be highlighting the winner of the major events and the 2A events that are also run over the course of the summer. We might even throw in the B National winner as well. So those tournaments we're going to be highlighting Sunday night, 9 p.m., as long as they're over by 9 p.m. on Sunday, right? So, I think it's an awesome thing. I think it's something that, over the course of the summer, it's going to be really cool to talk to some people that have just won tournaments and get a chance to speak to whether it be the MVP or whether it be the coach, manager, or someone that we feel is an important piece of the team. So we wanted to say thank you for that. We also want to announce that next week, our guest, next week's guest is Sam Rogers. So Sam Rogers is going to be joining us from Iowa. He is an individual that I know is going to have some really cool things to say about a lot of the Iowa folks, and I really want to get him on because, we got that clincher coming up in about 30 days in Iowa, and I know their deadline is coming up soon to register for that tournament, so hopefully he'll be able to speak on that and be able to speak on how Iowa softball, is going to be looking moving forward. So that's great. But Mike, that leads me to my last question. It's the question I ask every guest on the show. It's the question that has really become really popular in the softball community. And I think it's something that I feel the more and more we talk about it, and I know there's been a million answers given. Some answers have been repetitive, but that's okay. It just brings emphasis and focus and a lot of things, attention around what we do. And that question is, Mike, if you had one thing in softball today you would like to change or bring to the game to make the game better, in your eyes, what would it be?
Yeah, there's been a lot of answers about this, and there's a lot of different ways we can go. I still want to kind of go to what I was saying earlier about getting more park leagues established, getting more like lower levels going around. I'm making a personal goal that myself this year. I want to get a league started in Lombard. So I'm going to try and make contact with the Lombard Park District this summer. Go out. I know a couple nights they have 12-inch leagues, and go start talking to some of the kids. Some of the kids I have connections with because they were former students and athletes of mine when I was teaching and coaching. So I'm going to get in there and talk to these guys about it. I'm not telling you to quit 12-inch. Play it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Come out to my Friday night 16-inch league. Try and get some people that have never played before starting to play. Because I think if we can get the suburbs and more of these lower park levels going, that's just going to trickle up to then the B and the A and then to the major. Because it's again helping just get more people involved. So I'm making it a personal goal of mine to try and get something rolling in Lombard, but really getting it down to the roots now. Because again, they do a great job protecting the A teams and the major team, or protecting the A teams from the major teams dropping down. The B teams being separated. They're doing great jobs. The A Nationals has 40-something teams every year. It's amazing. But to allow that to keep growing and to stay at this high level that it is, I think we got to take another step down and try and get some more guys coming. In the city, they do and I may be mispronouncing it, but they have like the Chicago Catholic League, right? The high schools have their league, which is so cool. How many of the guys that we play against now came from out of there, right? Because they were exposed to it. They still got to play high school baseball and do all these things, but they got exposed to an organized sense of it rather than just farting around in PE class playing it.
Right.
If there's a shot of getting that started in the burbs with some of the other schools, I don't know how feasible that is, but just a thought of another way of getting younger kids involved and starting to play some more.
Yeah, some great comments. I think that getting the 12-inch game just because there are so many teams.
So many.
Yep.
Getting them to look at 16-inch softball and even try to play it, I think a lot of them are afraid of the hand piece of it. But even if we got it to play it with a glove, I think it's still a benefit to our game. And I know some people get frustrated. Dude, I like at the end of the year playing with a glove. I really do. I like playing certain tournaments. I think it makes me focus more as a hitter.
Oh yeah.
To hit the ball with a glove. It makes me sometimes just feel like it's just sometimes it's a better game. It's more like baseball,
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the glove, but it took me a long time to get to that kind of same type of. I'm okay with it. I've come to grips with it. Right. It took a while because it's harder to hit with the glove. Our game is harder to hit to begin with.
Yeah.
Now you have that glove on top of it, and it's that much harder to hit now.
Right.
Yeah, it can be tough for a while. But that's a good point. Maybe that's how it has to be. Some of these lower parks that start up again, maybe they have to be with the glove just to get the interest popping again.
I mean, and think about it like this, and I got this idea from Iowa, right? Because rewind 10 years ago in Iowa, okay? You knew when you play an Iowa team they were going to hit, but when you played them without a glove, you knew they weren't going to be able to pick the ball up. Well, what did Iowa do? They started playing with a glove, and now all of a sudden they don't play with gloves anymore.
Yep.
So, to my point, and now they're a tough out.
Right.
With a glove or without a glove. It doesn't matter. So, I just think that we can, yes, our game is play without a glove. I'm not
for sure
that's a bad thing. But if we can somehow attract those teams that play with a glove, like Rismondo, obviously at that scale level, but even at the lower levels of the 12-inch, the C's and the B's, there's a ton of teams in Illinois that we can
insane.
Yeah.
A number of teams, and there's tons.
Yep.
There's no reason why we can't just have a large tournament in the summer with a glove and have everyone join in. And I would be curious to see, what their availability is weekend-wise and all that good stuff, because I truly think the 12-inch teams would play if they knew about our game. A lot of them don't know about our game.
Right. They're starting to more and more from you guys and Gio, but you're right. A lot of them still, they know it's there, but they don't know how really accessible it is to just come in and jump in some of these tournaments. Because it's so sanctioned, it's so much more sanctioned in the 12-inch, how they're all registered and you're classified individually at a level, not just your team, not just Meatball City is an 8. It's your labeled as. So yeah, a lot of them don't know how it all works.
Yeah, Mike, to your point, it's like you said it best. You might play 12-inch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Give my game a shot on Friday night. What would be so good for the game? That's a great point. And that's pretty cool that they label the individual as a player. I think that gives a lot of teams that flexibility to mix and match kind of guys together. I think that's a really cool idea as well.
Yeah.
No, Mike, I love your answer. It's probably a top 3 answer that I've had on the show for this question. I love it. I really do. I think it's a great way to really grow our game. So congrats to you, my man, for the weekend. This is part of the show where we hand it over to you, Mike, and you get to ask questions to handsome cousin Donnie and very good looking Uncle Jimmy.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to start you with kind of an easy one. What's been your favorite part of doing this so far? Doing the show?
Can I answer this really quick, Jim? I like all of the eras of players that we've had on this show. We had
very cool.
The kind of the older crowd, and then now we have modern players. I mean, we had PJ Raines, who's like 22 years old, and then we've had people that are 62 years old. I mean, that is my favorite. Who is, I mean, that group. Such a large, diverse group of people that we've had on this show. And now to have the relationships with older players that I never would have met before, people that I text all the time now about softball. I mean, I've met them, they've been on the show, and now I call them my friends. So that's my favorite part, is getting to meet some people that I would never have the chance to talk to about softball. Top that answer, Jim.
That's a really good answer. I think honestly, if I truthfully have to answer this question and really say what's on my mind, I really think it's about just the game, the growth of 16 in softball, how much it's meant to me in my life. My wife to this day thinks I'm crazy about 16 in softball sometimes, and that's fine because it's been a part of my life for 20 something years. And I was talking with Anthony Tyler about this a while ago. It's about giving back to the game that's been so good to you. And I've met a lot of great individuals, contacts. Don't get me wrong, I've met a lot of assholes too, but at the same time, there's a lot of good people that play this game, and there's a lot of contacts that are built from 16 in softball. And I think the best part about Donnie and I doing this, it kind of, to what Donnie said, it really has brought multiple eras. We've brought some awareness around, our Hall of Fame and having the panel. I don't think that's ever been done before. Just certain things that I think we're adding value to the game. And I get to talk to Donnie every week, and Donnie and I have become, honestly, we've become pretty good friends over the last, he could bust my balls, I bust his balls, and
I won't.
We move forward. It's really has been a good relationship, and I think it's somebody that Donnie's the younger era. I'm kind of more of the older era a little bit, right? We have a good mix on how we are. Personalities mix well. And I think that's just part of it. And honestly, like I tell Donnie, you could probably admit, I tell you this all the time. I really don't. Yeah, I really want to promote our page and promote the game for the game, right? Not for me and Donnie.
Right.
We're trying to, Donnie will tell you, I've been in contact with WCIU. I've been with Channel 26, looking for a production company right now to get softball back on TV. I've talked to Kevin Duff about this and on certain things over the last couple of weeks. It's early stages, of course, but Mike, honestly, that's why we do it. It's not about ego. It's not about, because I have got a million things in my life. I don't need to be doing this podcast with, to be reputable in softball. I knew everyone in softball. I've done all that stuff before. To me, I honestly do it because I have a good time with it, and I think that we're helping and giving back to a game that has been, awesome to me for 20 years.
Softball needed this, right? It's you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and it's just going up and up. But I really think anybody who was ready to jump in and do this, it was going to fly. We needed this again. Think of the old softball report. People were literally calling answering machine to listen to a highlight tape of them just talking about the highlights and the scores of the game. It needed this. It was just waiting. Whoever was going to do it is going to pop. And you guys got the ball rolling, and it's only going to keep growing from here. It's awesome. It's a really cool thing.
It's funny you say that because I had people this weekend, okay? Obviously, you recognize faces and you recognize certain individuals at the field. But I had people coming up to me this weekend was like, man, we love your show. We love the podcast. Keep it going. Good job.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks like Donnie and I are going to quit doing this. And it's like, no, this ain't stopping.
Right.
We're going to come up with ideas. We're going to change softball in a way it's never been changed before. And, as soon as we get some individuals to kind of work with us and not necessarily think we're against them, and bring everyone in the huddle, the Peter Droyas of the world, the Bob Anconas, the, Paul Rowan, and we have an incredible relationship with Paul Rowan. Okay. He's been nothing but awesome as a president of the Hall of Fame with us. I don't know what has taken place outside of that, but I only speak to our relationship.
Yeah.
And he's been incredible. Okay. Pat Caputo, incredible, awesome. Right. And I just think that like the more we can get everyone on the same page,
softball for the
better moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. I got one other question. I don't know if you've been asked it before. Who's your white whale guest? Who's the one person you'd be like over the moon to get on?
Yep, we both know it's Rich Melman.
Big Rich.
So I've had multiple conversations with Rich. I thought I had him on coming on once. He was going to tell me he wanted to get on the individual who created the cut ball. And I'm sorry, but I can't remember his name. He said it once. He was well before our time. Like he was in
Is it Jake Jacoby? I could be wrong, but I thought it was Jake Jacoby.
I think that is the name, actually. Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think that's it.
I think it is. I think you're 100% correct. And I think Rich, when I talked to him on the phone, I had a good 20-minute conversation with him about the TV league and about a lot of the things that he did to get those sponsors. It's all incredible stuff. I just felt like he's been out of the softball so long, and he doesn't feel comfortable, I think, coming on. And I don't know if that's that was just my opinion.
Sure.
But I've asked him a couple times. I'm still in contact with him. I would love to get him on because obviously he's been a big player in the softball world, in the 90s and the 80s, which I think would be just an awesome thing. And who knows? I mean, I'd love to get him back into softball, right?
Sure.
In some way, somehow. We've had Mike North on.
Right.
We've had Steve Cashel on. We've had some people that have been in the media and around the Chicago game for years. And he was the big player with those two guys were the TV league announcers. So,
Yep. That's good. Mikey, that's
cool.
That's a great question. Now I was thinking, I would love to get Michael Jordan on the show.
Yeah. He played in the celebrity game.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
That I think about it.
How about, okay, so kind of, not to get sidetracked. One thing that I was just kind of thinking through all of this. What do we have to do to now use these connections you've made with these 12-inch guys to get a bat manufacturer to start making clinchers again, so we don't have to pay $1,000 for all these jamokes that are selling them for so much online?
Yep.
I just want to get another bat, and I can't because they're so expensive.
Great
But
point.
you know what I'm saying?
We both know
Bob Campbell, who invented the clincher bats. I know when he passed away, I was speaking with Joe Polito about. Joe Polito is very close with the Campbell family. I don't know if he had like a box at home with the old blueprints of how they made the bat, or a notebook with his note, anything. There has to be some sort of memorabilia around, or artifact, something that shows how he designed these original bats. That we got to be able to find a way to get new bats.
Well, the guy, we've actually tried to get him on. We actually had him coming on the show. He couldn't get on. Mike from Mike in Sports, remember?
Okay, here we go.
We had trouble. He had trouble logging on. He was going to be a guest on our show. Since then, there's been some, illnesses and things like that in his family. I know I still have been in contact with Mike over the last several months, but he works for Mike and I'm curious to see if they could take one of the clincher bats and see how that's made and see if
Right.
The only problem with that is what is the market for it, right?
No, I know. That's always been the whole issue with it. But we got to figure something out, because the bat game right now is a whole other issue with softball. People, and I get it. I understand the value in them, right? I'm not a dummy. I know why, but who's that? Drew says they got someone making them. What's that all about?
I've got
Mikey Hendricks is making them.
That's why I got 3 or 4 bats that are my size bats that I swing, and 2 of them are brand new, and I won't give them up.
Yeah, no, I know. They're like gold. You can't. So that's just something we could go on for hours about that. I don't want to go. Yeah. But that's something for you to think about, depending what guests you have on in the future. 12-inch guys. These guys all got their names on bats. You had Helmer, isn't that who you had on?
Yep, Brett Helmer. Yep.
Yes, I got one of his bats.
There you go. Man.
Well, Donnie, is there any other comments for Mikey that are out there before we let him go?
No, man, you were wonderful. Thanks, Mike, for jumping on with us tonight. We appreciate you very much, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate everything. Wait, I'm going to show off one thing real quick. I got Uncle
favorite
Pat's old jersey.
Yes.
Got the old Lord's jersey. Hildebrand Sports.
Hildebrand sponsor.
Yeah. I was going to wear it, but I didn't want my chest hairs to stick out too much.
I love it.
So I rocked the old traffic in the sun.
I love it. So Drew is actually texting me right now, and he sent me a couple photos of the bats.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
So I'll send those over to you, Mikey, when we get off the air here, and you
Cool.
can take a look at what
Oh,
he's
that's
got.
awesome.
So,
Awesome.
but yeah, no. So, Mike, once again, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Congrats on the win this weekend. Good luck this season with Meatball City, with every team you play but Hex. And outside of that, I look forward to winning our third straight next month in Yuma, my man.
23 days, baby. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Good luck to you guys and everyone out there. We'll see you guys all out there at the field.
Yep.
Thank you,
All right,
guys.
Mike.
Appreciate it.
Bye. So, Cousin Donnie,
Dude, I gotta see these. I want to see these bats.
Yeah, I will text you as soon as we get off the air here. So we are at
Talk about.
usually right around our mark, which is the 2 hour mark for our show.
Yep.
I feel that tonight was incredible. I really do. I think it's awesome that Meatball City won this weekend. I just think that it's great for softball. I think it's awesome that, we are going to hopefully see new winners throughout the year. And it'll be really cool going forward to grow our game, right? And what's the Sauce upset with Flash, I think was awesome for the weekend. I think, everything that went about the whole weekend, I know the crazy conditions played into it. Everyone had to play with the crazy conditions. So
That's right.
it is definitely a great thing for our game. And I know that you feel the same way because you were very happy to hear that Meatball City won when I talked to you. So
Heck yeah, those are my guys. I mean, those are literally some of my best friends outside of softball. I love those guys. So I texted Joel this morning. I texted the Wiz brothers, Jake. They know I'm there for them. So I love those dudes. And man, I'm excited to play this week. We play Monday, Tuesday this week. But there's a whole lot of games that we'll talk about next Sunday too that are going on this week. And Melrose Park starts this week Tuesday, so that's a nice competitive league for us to play in. But yeah, man,
we'll have a lot of updates. A lot of updates from the leagues this week. We'll talk about that next Sunday on our show. I know we play Flash twice and 45s this week, along with Impact. So
there you go.
Yeah, so we have some tough games ahead of us this week as well, which is awesome. But yeah, maybe next week we'll do a quick recap of the standings and the leagues and all that good stuff before we bring Sam on.
Really quick before we sign off, Jim, Adam Cumby is going live from Forest Park on Monday. He's going to be doing, I believe, our game, our signature circus game on Monday. And then I don't know what other games he's doing, but if you guys are looking to watch a little live softball, Adam Cumby will be going live from Forest Park over on that stream. So get over and watch a little ball. It'll be great to kind of get back in the swing of things. First two games. So he'll be doing the 6:45 and 8 o'clock game.
Yeah, so if Adam needs a sideline reporter or someone to hop on with him, tell him to let me know. I'd be more than happy to join him and make fun of Cousin Donnie. So perfect,
as you usually do. Jimmy, thank you very much for another great week. The Sunday night show was spectacular. And we'll see you guys next week, Sunday, for another awesome guest and some more of the Uncle Jimmy Cousin Donnie Show. Yes. You know what, Donnie? Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. I know our show is going to continue to grow, and I hope it's continuing to, lead people in the right direction about 16 and softball. And I think that's really what we're trying to do. So thank you guys for all the support. Episode 45 was a very good success. The Uncle Jimmy Cousin Donnie Show, sponsored by the Beacon Tap. So thank you, everyone. Definitely appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you guys all next Sunday at 9 p.m. Yeah. Donnie?